What is up, people, and welcome back to the channel. So a little bit of a side project today. Fire's on because I need to use it to warm something up. So I have finally got round to buying a stand for my Model 32 bender, the JD Squared. But because I'm tight and I cheaped out, I brought one that I got to make myself, because it's a lot cheaper than it is getting them to weld it and send it that way. So I just bought the kit. It was like just under 70 quid. I saw someone who's just got one and he said it works really well. So I thought, let's get one, because with the car on the table, it's really hard to get the bender on and actually get full swing. So what I've done is I've brought the kit from this place, tubela, I think it is. Tubela. Anyway, so this is their kit. So you get a tube, which is quite thick wall. You get the base plate, and you get the what did they call this thing? Petal. They call it a petal or something. So it is the base. I know it's a bit noisy, that fire is, but so the base is what, 12 mil? It's probably going to be Imperial, so whatever that is Imperial. Just under half inch. It's 12 mil, and this is probably about the same. Maybe it does a bit thinner, just under 10 mil. It's decent thickness. So we've got some instructions that come with it. So we're going to knock this up. So this was this £67.99, and if you can claim the VAT back, you can get it for £11.33 cheaper. So this is what we're going to try and do. Now, I haven't got a drill bit for the floor. The biggest I've got is a 13 mil. I want to try and use these. So this is an M10, and I need to get like a 16 mil drill bit for this. So when I unbolt it off the floor, I can put a countersink bolt in, and then that will keep the thread clean, if you get my cashmere drift. So that goes in the floor. Yeah? And then because this is a 1/2 inch hole and this is an M10, I'll knock up some thick wall washers. So when it's bolted to the floor, I'll weld the washers on. That way it'll stop the plate having any twist. So tomorrow we're going to have to bolt it down, because I'm going to have to go and get a drill bit. Plus, I don't know how thick the concrete is. No idea. Technically, it should be 4 to 6 inches, shouldn't it? You know what I mean? But we'll see. Right, so first things first, we're going to get these on the fire to get a little bit of warmth in them, because they're a bit cold. Then we've got to clean this area. I think this tube is not going to fit in that hole. Oh, it does. Yeah, it fits in the hole. So that fits in that hole. I didn't expect that. So that's got some weight in that. We have to fit the petal first. Anyway, this. So what we have to do with this, we've got to take the bender off my jiggery pokery that I made up, because one of these nuts on the bottom has to get welded to the centre underneath here. Yeah. Then that gets welded to the tube, so you can spin the bender on its axis to get access. You know what I mean, space around it. So we've got to weld the nut to the bottom of there. I might have another one, but it's got to come off anyway. So we've got to do that. Then we've got to put this on there, and then put that on there. It does tell you to put it in a vise. It gives you all the instructions about weld a 3/4 nut that is supplied with your tubela JD Squared to the centre of the underside of the petal top plate. You may want to use the bolt spacing to help you. So basically, you put the bolt on, put the nut in, and put the bolt in, put the nut on, and pull the nut up, so it holds it in the middle, basically. Blah, 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 chamfer the ends, blah, 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 weld it on, blah, 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 blah. Right, so let's get all this warming up whilst we strip that down and get the nut off. Unless I'll just strip that one. Right, so what I did there was, as you saw, cleaned it up, and I just welded it all the way around basically. But you wouldn't believe how hot this plate is, considering it's only been on my little fire. You know what I mean? This is still hot, but I've made sure I got enough weld on here, because you don't ever want that nut breaking off once you've welded the tube together. Yeah? So now what we've got to do, I'm going to clean up a little bit more material, and then we've got to stick the tube on the top. So the tube is actually sitting on the fire as well. You see? It's a funny thread this is, it's definitely not English. So I've got some M16s and they don't fit. Fucking plate is so hot, you can't fucking grab it. You gotta be careful when you're taking a bolt out something that's really hot, because it could just bite up. And it's still moving, but it's stickling. Where's that spanner? I mean, it's just a bit tight because of how hot it is. Well, yeah, I might let it cool down a bit more. Screw it back through to make it cool. Let that cool down for a bit first, okay? Right, couldn't wait, so I had to cool it down with some WD-40. I'm just impatient. All I did was sprayed the bolt, so the bolt shrank. I'm just too impatient. Plus, I've got that plate over there, haven't I? So I've got to clean this off now, and we're good to go. Right, so that is still nice and warm. Now we've got to get our tube off the heater. And that's got to go on there. Yeah? And we know that the table's flat, this is flat, that's flat. So all we need is this to be as flat. Well, to be honest, the ends are cut really square, so it should be good. You know what I mean? Beautiful. Beautiful. So they did a really good job cutting that. So we can just weld that on. All we want to do is measure our 4 points to get it in the middle, don't we? And we'll go from the hole. So we're at 29 mil. Fucking hell. 28 and a half. Tell you what, that's splitting hairs. 29. 29. That's really 29. Yeah, 27 and a half. 30. Oh, hang on. That's 30. So yeah, this is 29 and a half. So I want to get to 29. 27 and a half. 29. 29. 29. 29. And we'll chuck some tacks on. And then we'll weld all the way around that. Splash, splash. Fine. So that's welded on there. I think I could have gone up the amps a touch. So this is quite thick material. So, yeah, well, you know, it's not going to freaking fall off, is it? But I think with the base, I'll crank up the power load and see what we've got, what we can actually do. Yeah? So now that is done. Now we've got to do the base, which is getting toasty here. So we'll do exactly the same again, but just put the base on the... I might put the back... I'll put the base on here, because the table's going to be cold, isn't it? The base on there. They do say to orientate your bender to that plate, but that plate has got a lot of holes. So, I don't know what they mean, but I suppose a small angle here is a big angle over there, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Or, well, no, because the plate's going to want to be square on the floor, isn't it? Otherwise, it's going to do your head in. Let me have a look for a minute. Right, so I've just stood that tube on the floor. I want my bender, because my bender bends this way. Hang on, let me zoom you out a touch. Right, my bender, the arm comes this way, the tube comes in, and the bend is on that side. So I want my stock to be down here. Normally it runs on the table, because where the bend is, but I want the stock to run down the side of the car. So it's probably going to be bolted about here. Fuck, that's warm. Now somewhere in this vicinity. I'd say there. Now the holes on this bender are not perpendicular to the actual bender themselves. I'd say they're probably off at about 30-degree angle. So technically I want these holes, so if I run them 90 degrees to the table, the bender is going to be at a 30-degree angle. Shooting. So I can't have it going way that way, because it just hit my material. Let me guess. That's all. And let's measure that angle. This is a very strange contraption, considering it won't go back the other way. Why won't you back it? I'm just in the wrong side. What this is just. What's wrong with this? What is that like that? Oh, I don't know. You're saying, Lord, what the frick's going on here? Am I having a fucking brain fart here or something? There you go. I was having a brain fart, people. Don't worry, just me. So I'd say the washers about that, which is a 30-degree angle. What's the odds of that? It is actually a 30-degree angle. So at 30 degrees, it's at 90 degrees, if you catch my drift. So at 30 degrees, it is at 90 degrees. So at 30 degrees from there, yeah, it's going to be at 90 degrees. Bolting onto there, the unit's going to stand it's going to come there. Yeah? Well, I don't want that, do I? I want it there, with the material sticking out there. Maybe even a bit less. Can you see how freaking anal I am? I think about there. I think about there. Right? So now what we need to do is we need to mark our position for square. So the plate is square with the floor. So if I put a mark there, oh shit! That is square with the floor, isn't it? Or pretty freaking close to it, that. I like it. So that'll get me square. Can you even see what I'm doing down there? Oh, you can just about see. So now I know I want my whole square there. Yeah? Beautiful. Now, let's weld this puppy up. Back on the plate. Woo! She's toasty. Down there. I'm going to move quick because the box will draw the weekly line. Yeah. So I want that line as close to as I can. You get me? Oh, my knees. I went freaking airsofting yesterday with my son. It's freaking ace, man. Got to get back into that. Sounds expensive. Oh, good enough for me. Right, I'll get this welded. Let's crank that welder right up as well, shall we? Yeah, see how we get on. Right, so I think that's right at the top of what this welder will be performing at. I had to stop and turn the wire feed down because I'd cranked it up a bit high, so it's got a bit proud. And then I played with the power settings here. They're not welds that are due from my space frame, I'll give you that. But I'm not used to welding thick material like this, and that is only a 200 amp. You know, ideally you'd want a bit more than that, or to weld prep, so you got somewhere for the wire to go as you're bringing it around. But as this is literally just a stand for the old bender, we good. So that's what I want is face forward, look, and we are square with the floor. Ideal. Now, I haven't got anything to bolt it down with, and if we stick that on top, what's the odds of that falling over? Pretty freaking high, isn't it? So we might have to wait until tomorrow, and I'll get the drill bit. Yeah. See you tomorrow. Alright, people. So we're on. Drilled. That one, the bolt needs to be a bit shorter. I mustn't have drilled in far enough. So what I have to do is underneath this end, I've packed it up with 2 M12 washers because the floor has got a bit of a dip. So there's my little doofer. So what I want to do with this is zero it to my table. And then, so once that's zeroed to the table, yeah, and then we'll put it on here. So that's 0.7, 0.6, like a degree that way. So it could probably come up a touch more, 0.85. So, you know, we're within a degree. So it's square that way. It's just weird, but with 0.25, but it's on the actual die that you put in that you need to make sure it's square. So I've done that, and I've also made all new bushings for here. So I've got 1, 2, and 3 to take some of the slop out of these because they were a bit sloppy. So I put all new bushes in there. Everything's come up nice and clean. Now I put this on the pedal different. This one is supposed to go in the middle, I think. Then this one you remove to spin it round into the different holes. But I've put it that way, so that's in the centre and that's at the side to try and offset some more of the weight. Otherwise, all of this and the die is hanging over the one side. But yeah, that's how I've done it. It's proper. There is a little bit of flex, but you know, there's gonna be, isn't there? But the actual thing itself is really solid. Fucking burnt me DeWalt out. Fucking bag of shit. So I used a 12mm, no, a 16mm masonry, and he ended up using my little DeWalt, which sweet. And then I use these things, M10 16mm fittings. So what I'm going to do is once it's unbolted off the floor, I'm just going to drop one of these in each bolt hole to keep the shit out. That's just an M8. So these have actually sunk a little bit lower than the floor. Right, there you go. I hope this helps. If not, sorry, but you can just go on there and buy them ready-made. But it's so much cheaper to weld it on yourself. Yeah? Right. See you later. Catch you in the next one. See you, people.